am Mario,
And I'm Amilcar.
and this is Two Mics, One World Cup.
And today we're going to be covering my personal favorite group, which is Group E, which we have Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, and Japan.
Oh, big Japan fan, huh?
Yeah, the biggest.
But honestly, why is this your favorite?
So I'm super excited for Spain. All my family comes from Spain. My parents are born in Spain. My entire family lives in Spain, so I've been a huge Spain fan. That's why I'm a huge Real Madrid fan, but also a huge Spain fan all along. So this is very, very exciting. Kind of happy about this group, other than Germany, but it's okay as long as we top two, move on, and then anything can happen.
Since you're from Spain, a few questions. One, what part of Spain are you from? And then, how do you actually pronounce Barcelona? Because I've heard a lot of people call it Barcelona or like Ibiza. What? But I don't know. It doesn't sound natural. Like what's like the actual way to say it?
Yeah, so my family's all from northwestern Spain. So the region's called Galicia, but the actual town's called Orense. But northwestern Spain, kind of border with Portugal, pretty close. And Barcelona, I mean, you say Barcelona, but it depends. People have accents. So, like, I think the interesting part with Ibiza is like it's pronounced Ibiza, but in Spain, everyone says Ibiza because the Z's are like THs. So my mom and, my whole family says that. But it's kind of crazy how people that aren't from Spain, a lot of people refer to as Ibiza, even though it's spelled Ibiza.
I see. Okay, so either way, I guess it's kind of fine, right?
Yeah. I think it's just an accent thing. The Spanish accent makes the Z's sound like THs.
Got it. Okay, cool. Well, back to soccer or football.
There we go.
Basically, this group features two of the three most recent World Cup winners with Spain and Germany. And then it features Japan as well, who, since making it to the World Cup, has kind of become a regular. And then it features a almost new regular from CONCACAF in Costa Rica. I think it's a pretty interesting team.
Talking about the group in general, I think barring Costa Rica doing something like they did last World Cup, it seems kind of top heavy, like maybe like a more top heavy group. Like Spain and Germany are kind of like heavyweights, and then Costa Rica, like I said, barring last World Cup, they're not super up there. And then Japan, kind of same thing. So that's what when they got paired here, I'm like, okay, like it sounds bad with Germany, but I'm like, all right, two heavyweights and then two kind of more on the lower end of spectrum. So I think this is kind of a black and white kind of group,
which is kind of rare. I feel for like this World Cup, we've talked about a few groups already, and both of us have kind of agreed that they're a lot more even than usual. But this kind of reminds me of how you would feel about groups maybe 3 or 4 World Cups ago. To your point, yeah, I think it's a little, at least on paper, it seems a little more black and white.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's get it started with one of the teams that's on the side of the black and white, Japan. They're currently FIFA ranking number 24. They're the second highest ranked team from AFC. And the last World Cup appearance was against Russia in 2018. And they actually had a really, really good game against Belgium. At least initially, they took an early 2-0 lead. I remember they barely got out of their group based on fair play points. And then I thought, it's like, oh yeah, like Belgium's going to destroy them. And then they're winning 2-0. That was one of the games I was watching, like, no way. And then Belgium comes back and ends up beating them. Last World Cup, they were pretty interesting team to see and played really well against top European team. I mean, Belgium ended up coming in third.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Every time you mention the yellow card thing, I still just like cannot believe that that's a thing, and like that it actually came down to like who had less yellow cards to make a next round. Something that people like work for their whole lives. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think that was a wild game. The game you're referring to with Belgium. So anything can happen, but then obviously they righted the ship. Belgium did, and they ended up winning that one. So it goes to show kind of sometimes, depending on the mentality you have, especially when you have like big teams, you can't put them away with 2-0 or 3, sometimes even 3-0. Some of these big clubs, big nations, you can't just put them away like that. Whereas maybe, I don't want to say with like a smaller team, you may like score one goal and a lot of teams are just defeated. So I think that talks a lot about the quality of Belgium, and we'll talk about them, at some point later on. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. Obviously, they've qualified for the last 7 World Cups, so that's consistency at best. They don't come from the strongest. Obviously, the Asian division isn't the strongest, so they have like kind of more or less like the same teams that are coming out of there. But they were second behind Saudi Arabia, and we've obviously given Saudi Arabia some props in their respective group. They probably play more as a collective than they do
I
have any
agree.
kind of stars. Yeah, honestly, to the normal fan that doesn't really watch football, like you probably can't name one player on their team for the most part. I think their biggest name is probably Daichi Kamada from Frankfurt. I mean, he's probably one of the top midfielders in Germany. So he's up there with the likes of Kimmich and everyone up there. So this is more of a team than others. When you think about Japan, you think about cohesiveness just in terms of the nation. Like, I mean, I don't know. Have you ever been to Japan, Mario?
Yes, I have. Just Tokyo, but I really want to check out Osaka and Kyoto.
I've never been. From what I heard, it's like all very like, I don't want to say like team oriented, but like everyone kind of works together. And it's like super clean because everyone does their job. And like, even before COVID, everyone wore masks when they were sick, thinking about others. So like,
Very,
it's kind of
very
like
clean.
almost seems like it's perfectly fitting
Yeah.
for them to be like that.
Yeah, and they're also a pretty young team. So this team's only returning 6 players that were in the previous World Cup. And I don't know this for a fact, but I'd be surprised if there's a team with less players from the previous World Cup, unless like, obviously teams that didn't play in it. They're really favoring youth, to your point about maybe not having like huge centerpieces that they're building the rest of the team around. I think they really are just going for like this more cohesive unit more than anything.
So we'll kind of move on from them and we'll get started with my motherland here with Spain. Obviously, very excited to talk about them. So they're the current FIFA ranking number 6, and they qualified in 4th ranking. Wow, that's not great.
No, fourth in UEFA, fourth in UEFA.
Yeah, 4th in UEFA. So, which is arguably, I don't know what you think, Mario, but arguably probably the most competitive and the hardest to get in from.
Definitely, yes. Yeah. And then maybe Conmebol.
Yeah, because that's where Portugal came in from the playoff. Italy didn't make it. So we had some crazy stuff there. Won the World Cup once, man, and that was one of the best best matches ever that I've ever seen in 2010. Which their last World Cup, they were in the Russian World Cup, and yeah, I'm very excited. They have Luis Enrique as their coach, which has changed a lot of the way the style they play. I don't know if you remember, Mario, back like the game that like just comes to mind always is like it was like Spain Russia, and Spain, I think, had possession probably like 75%, maybe even 80% of the game, but they were just playing sideways. There's like side to side and side to side, like blowing them to sleep, but there was like no shot. Yeah, like tiki taka, just like, but like it was just side to side, like no shots on goal. And then all of a sudden, Russia gets one counterattack and we lose 1-0. And it's just like, oh, it's like, it was like one of the most frustrating things. It was refreshing because like you don't have to worry about the other team having the ball in your half and being like stressed out about that. But it was also frustrating because it just went side, like literally just passed it from side to side and never actually had and brought it to anybody in the forwards or anything like that. It's kind of crazy. But I think they're really turning the tide a lot with Luis Enrique. They play a lot more direct now, which is nice. So there's a lot more goals. And they've also like kind of shied away from, I want to say maybe last World Cup or in the World Cup before. It was like, I would probably 80% Real Madrid and Barcelona players.
Yeah.
And in the Euros, he took 0 Real Madrid players. He still had a handful of Barcelona, but no Real Madrid players. His kind of philosophy was like bringing players from smaller clubs, quote unquote, smaller clubs that would be able to perform, that were maybe out of the spotlight, which has been crazy. But also like they're just so young. And I know, Mario, you probably know a lot of these names, but like Pedri, Gavi, Ansu Fati, Ferran Torres, like all of them are 19 or younger except for Ferran Torres. He's 22. So, and they're all playing, most of them at Barcelona. And then, so not most of them, sorry, all of them are playing at Barcelona.
The future's bright then because the present's kind of dark for Barcelona.
Oh gosh,
yeah, for Barcelona. Also, just really quick, the World Cup game, was that the one they went to penalties and that's where Spain lost, right?
It might. I mean, I'm forgetting about it, but it might have been, yeah. But then it ended up like 1-1.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a 1-1 draw. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, and then they lost in penalties. Yeah. And they were out. That was in the knockouts.
Yeah, around the 16. Question on that, like the 1-1, like you think about when they had like really solid strikers, like in David Villa when they had the 2010 run and they won it. Do you see this team and do you think like, oh, like do they have like a really strong striker? Because in their qualifying, I think they scored like 15 goals. Like they're not really like blowing out teams. They're still winning. And they won their group, but do you see like a concern with striking, or do you think a lot of these young players just having broken out in the World Cup's going to be that tournament?
I mean, I think depending on who plays, so like they've been playing, I think they expected Morata to be their kind of second coming to David Villa and like just hand the torch off and move on. But he hasn't, he's been not that great. He's left a lot to to expect from him. It seems like they've moved on or splitting time with Ferran Torres, which, he was at Man City right before Barcelona. He's playing very well. And I think he has like he averages a goal every game or goal every 2 games, I want to say. But the one that's really exciting in the attacking side would be Ansu Fati. So if he plays, which he's probably going to come off the bench. I don't think there's any way he's starting, but has a lot of energy to come off the bench.
He's like 13 or something?
I'm kidding. I think he's 19, right? Because I think Gavi's 18. But yeah, 19 years old. I think he's probably going to come off the bench and give him a lot of energy, especially for striking, which is exactly what the position he plays in Barcelona. He comes off second half, or comes on the second half, sorry, and gives him a ton of energy. So if anything, the exciting part about this is like probably for the next 2 or 3 World Cups, like Spain are going to be set with their studs and like their kind of core. So I'm very excited about that. But it's also nice to see like Carvajal still playing, Busquets and Alba. So they're going to have the young talent, but then they're going to also have the older people that have been there, done that to kind of mentor them through this. Hopefully it'll be a good dynamic.
What do you think about Sergio Ramos? Do you think that Luis Enrique might bring him in at some point? Or, at some point, we're less than 3 weeks away. I personally, even though I'm a Barcelona fan, I like watching Sergio Ramos play. I wish Piqué would have played. He's not in the best form right now, but I think there's a chance for Ramos, or what would you say?
I don't think they called him up, though. That's the only thing for this year. So it's kind of crazy. But I liked him, obviously, because I'm a Real Madrid fan, but I think he brings a lot of heart to the game. So when you have him, you're getting like the fire and like the passion that comes from behind, so that's what I really liked about him when he played for Spain. But I think he had a full year of injury last year, didn't play too well for PSG. He's trying to play again, but I don't think they've seen enough of him in the last couple of years with injuries. So I think that's probably what played a huge role into it. But obviously you're talking about Piqué. So you talk about he announced his retirement today, right?
Yeah, I know. Saturday, I think you said is his last game.
Yeah, the last game is Saturday, and then they're expecting to he's gonna play the World Cup, right, and then retire.
I don't know if he's even in the World Cup actually. TBD. If you're here to see if Piqué's on the World Cup, come back to us later.
The same way he went to other people instead of Shakira.
Oh.
Oh man, but no, I think they're such on the older end. They're probably in like the back half of their career, really back end of their career, where they failed with Del Bosque in. Obviously they won the 2010 World Cup, then they won the Euros, and then they just fell flat after that. So 2014, 16, 18, they played not well, and I think the issue was that he just basically kept the exact same team, never brought anybody new in, and that was the biggest issue because everyone was getting older. And there was no one kind of to take over. So then after that, when they fell flat in the 2014 World Cup, I think it was pretty obvious. So a lot of people give Del Bosque the credit for obviously he won the World Cup and the Euros. But I think Luis Aragonés, who won the 2010 Euro, essentially set that team up and just handed a silver platter just to him. And then he was able to ride it until literally the wheels fell off.
Yeah. But I think, like you said, those times are gone. I think now they're figuring themselves out. I'm personally pretty excited for the Spain side, and through my friendship with you, I tend to root for them as well.
Just like I root for Mexico.
Exactly.
Yeah, I still have them winning the group. Even after everything we talked about, I still have them winning the group.
And also for people listening, this is how much I really like when new teams win the World Cup. So 2010 when Spain won it, I just love going back to the highlight when Iniesta scores a goal. I still get goosebumps or chills. Because you can see the whole team and everyone just knows this guy just won the World Cup, and then you see different towns in Spain and people are just losing it. So, and also you'll maybe recognize it in the intro to the podcast. It's actually the commentary from that Iniesta goal in 2010. Fun fact if you hadn't noticed it. We can move on to our neck of the woods, sort of. CONCACAF, we have Costa Rica. So they're FIFA ranking number 34. They're the current they got here through the 4th place in CONCACAF through the playoff, and they're a team trying to maybe recreate the 2014 success in the World Cup where they made it to the quarterfinals and they were a penalty shootout away from being in the semifinals. When they made it, they were in a group with all previous World Cup winners. They had Uruguay, Italy, and England, and they actually won that group, which was pretty cool. They caught a lot of teams by surprise. They're led by a few veterans, I would say. A lot of the same names you've seen in the past couple World Cups are still there, really. Keylor Navas, I'd say, he's the main guy. He's been that main guy for a while, but they still have Joel Campbell, who's been playing for Monterrey. And overall, I just tend to root for this team too because they're a CONCACAF team. Going back to 2014, I remember when they had their deep run, I was like, man, that's what it could be like for Mexico if they can just get past that fifth game. That's kind of what I got for Costa Rica. Amilcar, what do you think?
Honestly, like I said, I think it's top heavy. I think, I don't want to say it was a fluke that they went so far because I think they had just some impressive goalkeeping by Keylor Navas, which was kind of insane. But they play super defensive, so they just kind of park the bus, play everyone back, and kind of play off counterattacks or set pieces. So I think I was reading something that said that they had like almost like 80% of their goals came from set pieces. But then like it also makes you think like if you're playing a team like Spain or Germany where you're just going to, I mean, ideally you're probably going to get dominated in terms of possession, everything like that. Like, are you going to get any set pieces? Are you going to get, are you going to create any chances to do that? That's kind of what I'm worried about them a little bit. The interesting part as well is when we talk about these defensive teams is like, if they get scored on, like what happens, you know, like when you have everyone back and then you all of a sudden go down 1-0, I think that's, to me, I think that's when all of a sudden the score goes from 1-0 to like 3 or 4-0 really quickly. You know, when they all of a sudden like, they lose, like, okay, well, we can't play defensive anymore. We have to start attacking because now we have to score. It's not going to be a 0-0 game anymore. So I think that might be a lot of what they're going to have. Obviously, like we said, they have the really great goalkeeping, which will make up for any deficiencies. But I don't know. I think they're going to be able to get dominated by the likes of Spain and Germany. Their best shot, I think, if they're going to do anything out of this group, I think the most interesting game is probably going to be the Costa Rica Japan, because I think whoever wins that game, if they end up upsetting one of the giants, so either Spain or Germany, that could easily make them the next, like second place pretty quickly. You know what I mean? It just takes like, it almost feels like Spain and Germany have to play almost like a perfect tournament in order to make it through. But like Costa Rica or Japan just has to beat each other and then beat one of the other guys. That's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like even though, and we haven't gotten to Germany quite yet, but Germany and Spain are the favorites for this group. They don't have a lot of room for error because, yeah, like you say, Costa Rica or Japan, you get a tie or lose a game there and it can get pretty ugly pretty quickly. And to your point with like the goal scoring capability, at the last World Cup in their group, they didn't make it out of the group stage. They scored 2 goals in 3 games, and both of those goals came in a 2-2 tie with Switzerland. You go back to 2014, in 5 games, they had 2 games where they scored 0 goals. They were both ties. Oh, sorry, one of them was a tie, and then the other one was the penalty shootout that they lost to the Netherlands. And then they had 2 other games with 1 goal each, and then they did have a 3-1 win over Uruguay. To your point, not a team that scores a lot of goals, so it's going to take, I'd say, parking the bus really well. And Keylor Navas playing usual Keylor Navas self, especially like the Real Madrid days, which I don't like to admit. But nonetheless, I think they have potential.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can say that definitely. I think out of this group, I mean, who would you have between this group, between Japan and Costa Rica? I mean, they're playing, I think, the second game together. Who do you think that is going to win that game?
I think Costa Rica is going to win. I could actually see Japan actually can semi-score, but yeah, I give it to Costa Rica. I don't know what the score line would be, but I give it to Costa Rica. What about you?
Okay, see, I think that maybe Japan could win that game. So I have them Japan coming in third and Costa Rica in fourth out of this one, which is obviously completely night and day from what they did the last World Cup, and maybe I'm off my rocker here, but that's kind of what I feel. So we'll see. I mean, obviously they did get out of the group of death, which is probably the hardest group in, I don't want to say the history of World Cups, because I'm sure there's been some, but definitely in the most recent time with Uruguay, England, and Italy. Like that's just an insane group.
And they won it, which is pretty crazy.
But so yeah, I mean, that was some great games in that group. We'll see how it goes, but not super excited for them, or I don't think that they're going to do too crazy good, but we'll see. So let's finish chatting with Germany. Obviously, Germany is one of, like we've talked about multiple times, one of the powerhouses. Their current FIFA world ranking, number 11. The regional rank, I guess, so in UEFA, they're the 9th, which sometimes that's the top 10 other than Brazil.
Yeah.
They've won 4 World Cups, so kind of crazy. They were Group J winners in the UEFA side. I think the biggest takeaway I have from them is that they're not as strong as they have been in previous years in terms of like the depth and the solidified players that they have. I think their defense worries me a little bit as well. Obviously, we talked about team scoring, and I think Spain, even though they may not score too many goals with the defenses that they have in this group, could potentially, it could potentially be a high scoring group just because of the lack of defense and maybe not such great offense. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. And then obviously we just heard a couple days ago that Timo Werner is not playing.
Yeah.
So that's going to put a lot more pressure on Leroy Sané and Sergio Gnabry, Kai Havertz. Like they're all going to have to make up for him because, I mean, they have a pretty good collective front attacking side, but I mean, having the likes of Timo Werner out, that's huge.
I agree. I think Germany's trying to obviously prove themselves. They kind of fell victim to the World Cup curse where you win the World Cup and then can't really get out of the group stage the following World Cups. And they have still like decent amount of players that were in that squad. They did sack Joachim Low, which I think was a low for them when he...
Where are the drums?
Oh, wait. Oh, they're coming. Oh, wait. Wrong ones. Wait. There we go. Okay. Thank you. We're here all week. Okay, that's enough, guys. That's enough.
And hopefully the coach Hansi Flick will flick them onto the final.
Oh. There we go.
There it is. I was like, wait for it. It's coming.
Man, what an assist.
There it is.
Okay.
But also two mics, one World Cup of puns.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, honestly, he's had a pretty good club success recently. Hansi Flick, he won Champions League with Bayern Munich. Then he also won 2 Bundesligas. But I don't know when Bayern Munich doesn't win the Bundesliga other than that one time. Borussia won it. And then 2007, shout out Stuttgart. They had 2 Mexican players. What's up? And then they also won the FIFA Club World Cup. They beat a really good Tigres team, actually. So shout out Liga MX. But yeah, we mentioned Timo Werner's out. Still have really, 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 really good players. A lot of them playing for Bayern Munich and a lot of other like really good German teams as well. RB Leipzig. We have Antonio Rudiger with Chelsea, Gundogan with Man City, and many others really. Again, this is like the second giant within this group. I'm guessing that they're going to make it out. I don't see a scenario where Spain or Germany don't make it out. Or actually, there are many scenarios, but I think they're probably the 2 most likely teams to get out. Last thing, because I've been talking for way too long. The sports books as of now have Spain as the 5th most likely team to win the World Cup, which is just slightly above Germany. So I don't know if that's any indication to Spain maybe winning the group like you maybe said, and then Germany coming second. What do you think? And what do you think about this rematch of the 2010 semifinals and the Euro Cup final from 2008?
Yeah, as long as it ends the same way with a 1-0 win, I'm okay with it. Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, you're talking about like the 2 of the top 6 teams in one group. I know you can't really call it group of death, right? Because there's not that 3rd or 4th team that's going to be super competitive with them, which lucky enough for, I mean, I guess everyone else in the group or in other groups, that didn't happen. But yeah, like you said, they're definitely not the strongest team, but I don't see how they don't make it out of this group. I mean, I could easily see them 1st or 2nd, but I don't see either Costa Rica or Japan winning this at all, to be completely honest with you.
In no disrespect, they're really good teams too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but like we talked, obviously, 2 of the top 6 teams in the world, or at least sports books, but that's questionable sometimes, right? But I mean, I think we can, as fans, we can generally say that they're 2 of the top teams in the world. The craziest thing is like when I'm looking at the names, I'm seeing Manuel Neuer. Like, when is this guy gonna like hang it up, man? I feel like he's been playing for so long and like he's such like still a top level. Because I just remember when him and Iker Casillas were like the 1 and 2 best goalies in the world, and it seems like he's still there. It's just crazy how good he is.
Yeah, he really went off in 2014. They kind of each had their World Cup where they really shine.
Yeah, and honestly, that might make up for the defensive, I don't want to say lapses, but what we would say like the defense is a little bit on the softer side. That may make up for it, having a good goalie. And we talked about other teams where their goalies are just going to kind of go on a tear, and that's sometimes what helps get you to the next round. And I mean, you can probably speak to it because, Memo Ochoa for Mexico, like, every World Cup, he just seems to just play out of his mind.
Yeah, but still, about the next level, it's Mexico bows out in the round of 16 every time. But hey, at least we get out of the group stage, I guess.
Right? At least you can look at the positive of it. But yeah, who do you have coming 1st and 2nd out of this group?
I've gone back and forth, but I think I'm going to have to give it to your homeland, Spain, topping the group, and Germany coming in 2nd. I don't know if either one of them is going to get like 9 points. I really do think Costa Rica and Japan have some quality in the teams that can either win a game or tie a couple games. So I don't think there's a team that's going to win all the games in the group.
That's fair. I kind of almost prefer that because then I feel like you get a little bit of a taste of a loss, you know, and you're like, okay, like we learned from this, hopefully, and then later on down the tournament, you've kind of been a little bit more tested. So I kind of don't hate that, I guess. But yeah, I'm basically right there with you. This one was probably one of the more easy groups to pick. Yeah, I have Spain winning it and then Germany coming in second. I don't know about the 9 points. That I think is a little bit. I think that's just tough in general to get 9 points, and especially when you have two of the top teams. But you know, we'll see. But I definitely have them winning. I have both. But the crazy part, or I guess we can walk it back a little bit. The crazy part about this is the winner is most likely going to play Brazil. So do you really want to win this group?
That's a good point. Yeah. So let's look at how that would play out. So assuming, the winner plays Brazil, who would the loser play then? They would play 2E, would play the winner of Belgium, Canada, Croatia, Morocco. Yeah, honestly, you might want to take second in the group. Not that there's easy teams in the round of 16, but there are maybe slightly more favorable matchups.
Yeah, and I think then it kind of moves you to the kind of bottom right corner of the bracket, which is much easier than a bracket with Brazil, and then you potentially like in Argentina coming out of the top half. So it kind of almost guarantees you're going to get to the quarters or the semis, sorry, right off the bat if you make it into that bottom corner. So, I mean, I would love for Spain to win it, but honestly, second place, not bad if you ask me.
Yeah, you're right. When you play Brazil, you play them in the quarters though, right? Not in the round of 16.
Yeah, it would be in the quarters. Yeah, round of 16 would be against.
It'd still be like Belgium, Canada, Croatia, Morocco, depending on.
Yeah, it would be that team. Okay. But exactly.
Yeah, Brazil. A lot of people are favorites.
Yeah, I think you probably prefer to play anybody other than Brazil, especially so early on.
Yeah, Argentina too. We'll see.
So I don't know if that plays into mind of the coaches, especially getting towards the end. Do the rest of their players get to second? I know we've talked about this, previous times, but it kind of makes you think, makes you wonder, do they have that in the back of their head, or are they like, I don't care, whoever comes next, we're going to win, have that mentality.
I think with both of them, they have the mentality that they'll win whoever they play against. I think that about wraps it up for this group. Actually, one more question. So potentially, what's the ceiling for Spain and Germany? How far do you think they could each go?
I mean, it depends on who gets first. Because honestly, I would love to say that Spain or Germany could beat Brazil, but that's a tough task. I think that's going to be one of probably the better games that we're going to see in the knockout stages. It's going to be the Brazil, Spain, or Brazil, Germany. I think whoever plays Brazil, I think they're kind of done right there, which is the quarters. I see them going to the quarters. If they get second, then I could see them maybe going up to the semis would be the furthest they go, because then they'd play the likes of maybe France. So that could be interesting, but quarters to semis, depending on who gets first or second.
Yeah, I agree. I actually, and sorry for this one, but I don't see either one of these teams in the semis, actually. I see maybe one of them losing in the round of 16 and then the other one losing to Brazil in the quarterfinal. I don't know why, but that's just the feeling I'm getting.
Yeah, I mean, Belgium's tough if that's who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of Belgium, I mean, that's the next episode we're going to have is going to be that one. We're going to talk about Group F, which would be Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. So if you want to hear our takes on that and who we think is going to win that one, obviously stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you guys stay connected here.
All right, thank you. So that about does it for today. I'm Mario.
I'm Amilcar.
And this is Two Mics, One World Cup.